In today's video, we're going to talk about self-awareness and why it's important. We're also going to talk about different things that you can start doing right now to help you become more self-aware. So stay tuned. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie Redmond and I'm a certified professional life and relationship coach. If you're new here, please make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. So today we're going to talk about self-awareness. I'm going to start out by telling you a little bit about my personal experience before I even knew what self-awareness was, and then my experience afterwards. So basically what I consider to be the benefits of becoming self-aware. We're also going to talk about what exactly self-awareness is and why it's important. Finally, we're going to talk about how you can become more self-aware, and I'm going to give you practical tips on exactly what you can start doing right now to start becoming more self-aware. So let's jump in. So several years ago, I was a different person. I used to be angry all the time. I constantly felt super stressed out. I felt like there was a constant state of anxiety. I didn't know how to relax. I couldn't focus on anything. I was insecure, jealous, judgmental, bitter, you name it. I didn't like who I was. Now I've done a lot of inner work on myself, and that along with the training that I have is what really helps me to be able to help my clients. Now, self-awareness is one of the most difficult skills and habits that you can achieve, but it is one of the most rewarding, like I mentioned. My life right now is so different than it was before. Now, don't get me wrong, my life is not perfect, and I'm not perfect. I'm still working on myself, and I always will be. But what I want to express to you guys is that I now can say wholeheartedly that I have an inner sense of peace. And it's not so much because of what's going on around me that causes a sense of peace. It's a sense of inner peace, regardless of what's going on in the exterior. Now, obviously, I'm not perfect, like I said, so I'm not constantly in peace. I still feel emotion. I still get stressed out. I still get angry. But becoming more self-aware has helped me to be able to be a lot more alert as far as what's going on in my body and in my mind. And it helps me to, in a way, be able to pause. And instead of being reactive, I am now able to be more responsive. I also feel like right now I can get myself out of a slump or a bad mood so much quicker than I was able to before. So the first thing that I had to learn is that I'm responsible for the way that I feel. Let me say that again. I had to learn that I'm responsible for the way that I feel. And in that same light, you're responsible for the way that you feel. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean that people and things and situations are going to happen to us. They're going to do things to us that we don't want or that we don't expect. That's inevitable. Nothing you can do about that. You can't change other people. The only thing you have control of is yourself. And one of the ways that you can control yourself is to be in control of your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, be in control of why you feel that way. And we also are 100% capable of choosing how we respond to different situations. Now, I'm not saying that you're gonna be able to do this right away, because most likely you're not. But once you gain a certain level of self-awareness and then a certain level of self-control, you can ultimately change a lot of what happens to you in your experience. Okay, so what are the benefits of self-awareness? Well, first of all, you are going to find yourself probably experiencing better moods. You're going to experience better relationships. You're going to experience clearer thinking and decision-making abilities. You're also going to experience better communication. And finally, as a result of self-awareness, you can even experience more productivity. So what exactly is self-awareness? Well, self-awareness is essentially the habit of paying attention to your patterns, specifically your thought patterns and your response patterns and your emotional patterns and the patterns in which you perceive what happens to you. At the root of it, it's basically figuring out exactly how you perceive the world and then learning how to manipulate it in a healthier way. So, like I said before, self-awareness is the precursor to self-control. And if you have self-control, you're like in the top, I don't know, I'm making this up, but I'm probably close to top 10 percentile or 1 percentile of all humans. Think about it. If everybody had self-control, things would be very different going on in the world right now. Okay, so how can you even start to become more self-aware? Well, I'm gonna tell you some things that I've done personally that have helped me, and I'm also gonna share with you other strategies that have worked for other people. If you want, you can just pick the ones that seem like they're easy for you to do to start with, and then implement others as you go along. So the first thing that I did, and that a lot of people do, is they start meditating. Now, some of you may not know exactly what meditation entails. It might mean different things to different people. The way I see meditation is setting aside time to sit in silence with your eyes closed, focusing on your breath. So essentially, you want to go into a very quiet room or outside somewhere, and if you're just starting out, you might want to just set a timer on your phone or on your watch and put it for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. And what you want to do is, like I said, sit in silence, and you want to close your eyes. And what you want to really do is focus on breathing. You want to focus on inhaling and then exhaling. And you really want to just keep your mind focused on your breath. Now, what's going to happen is your mind's going to wander from time to time. So ideally, what you want to do is you don't want to sit there and try to control your thoughts or, get mad at yourself because you're not able to clear your mind. That's not really the point of meditation. You want to just observe your thought and recognize that your thoughts are not you. Your thoughts are not who you are. And then kindly bring your attention back to your breath. So this is a practice. So you're gonna practice it on a regular basis, and you're gonna get better and better. But what this is gonna do is it's gonna create fertile ground for you to be able to start becoming more self-aware. So the second thing that you can do is to try to have more mindful intention. So what do I mean by that? I mean trying to become more present in the moment. So if you're washing a dish, for example, focus on the dish, focus on holding the dish, the temperature of the water, the sounds going on in the room at the time, the way the soap is foaming up in your hands. So instead of thinking what's going on up here, thinking about, what am I gonna eat for lunch, or my day was super, crappy, or whatever, you're pulling yourself outside of your mind and into the present moment. Now, this is super hard to do, especially like all the time. You can try to pull out different times of your day to try to become more mindful. Maybe when you're brushing your teeth or when you're driving, just trying to be really present of what's going on in front of you. When someone's having a conversation with you, this is really important. So instead of thinking about what they're saying and then judging it, or thinking about their shirt or their hair, becoming more present and thinking about what are they saying, their facial expressions, how are they meaning what they're saying, and trying to seek to understand them. All right, the next thing that you can do is ask yourself questions. So if you feel yourself getting into some kind of a slump, or if you start to feel yourself getting stressed out, or if you start feeling jealous or insecure, start asking yourself questions. Now, you don't want to ask yourself why questions, why am I feeling this way, or why does this happen to me? Instead, you want to ask yourself what questions. So, for example, what about this situation is specifically making me feel so angry, or annoyed, or sad, or uncomfortable? When you start asking your mind questions, it starts automatically searching for an answer. And the why questions aren't always super easy for your mind to figure out. Usually it's just gonna come up with something that isn't really true, or it's negative. So instead, when you ask a what question, you get a more concrete answer. Other examples of what questions are: what am I trying to achieve right now? What am I doing that's working? What am I doing that's slowing me down? What can I do to change this situation? What can I do to change myself? What can I do to change the way I react? The next thing that you can do is pay attention to the things that bother you about other people. Why am I saying to do this? I'm not saying this so that you can be critical of others. I'm saying this because most of the time, the things that bother you about other people are a reflection of what you don't like about yourself. At first, when I heard this idea, this concept, I was like, what? But you know what? The more I started to pay attention, the more I realized the things I don't like about other people or didn't like about other people is exactly what I didn't like about myself. So this is something to maybe think about, chew on, and just try it out for yourself. The next thing that you can do is journal. Journal about how you feel, what your priorities are, what you want, visualizing your future, visualizing your dreams, and really just getting it all out. Now you can do this in one of two ways. You can do this in a nice, organized journal setting, like Dear Journal, and then write basically like a letter format. Or you can do what I call a brain dump. So what a brain dump is you basically just grab a piece of paper and you don't worry about any kind of structure. You just write out everything that is on your mind, and you can do this as fast as you can, and you don't have to worry about being legible or anything like that. But this in itself is a great way to get a lot out that you probably didn't know you had in. And it's a great way to get you feeling more clear-headed. When I started doing this, I experienced an enormous sense of relief and peace right after. So I highly recommend you trying this brain dump strategy. Another thing that you can do to become more self-aware is to take a psychometric assessment. So an example of one of these psychometric assessments or these personality tests is the Myers-Briggs test. I don't know if you've heard of it. If you haven't, there is a link down below so that you guys can check it out. I highly recommend you trying it out. When I started doing assessments for myself, it was actually one of the most enlightening and rewarding activities that I could do. There's something really interesting about learning about yourself, and the more I took these tests, the closer I felt to myself, if that makes sense. So the Myers-Briggs is a good one, and the color code test is something I highly recommend. I took this test recently, and I don't think I found one that's more accurate. Like I said, there's gonna be a link to that down below in the description. I recommend you take this test. I am a yellow color. There's white, blue, red, and yellow. If you take the test, please leave me a comment below. Let me know what color you are. I am so curious to know. This is one of my favorite tests. Okay, so the next thing that you can do is ask a trusted friend for their honest feedback. Now, when you do this, you want to ask them for their honest, critical, candid, and objective feedback about you. You also want to make sure that they feel safe when they talk to you, because a lot of people have a hard time telling people the truth, especially when it's not a really nice, joyful thing that they're gonna tell you. But in reality, if you want to improve yourself, it's a good idea to understand how others view you. And that's the first step to changing. So before I did this, I had no idea that I used to make everything about me. And I had no idea that I used to one-up people all the time. Now, this was a long time ago, and I've learned to kind of change my perspective now, but I couldn't have ever changed those things if I didn't know that I was doing it. So be brave when you talk to your friends if you're gonna do this, and be ready to accept it humbly and take it into consideration. It may or may not be true, it's just their perspective, but it's always helpful to get good feedback from someone that you trust. Now, another thing that you can do that really helped me is read. Read articles on self-awareness. Read books. One of the books that really changed my life, I've mentioned this in another video, but I really mean it, is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's a short read, but it is so powerful. So the 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, always do your best, and don't make assumptions. If you read this book, I'm telling you, it's gonna change your life. It's such a good book, and it will open your mind. And if you're on this journey through self-development, personal development, I think it's an essential read. Check it out. I will have that link down below so that you guys have access to check it out. All right, guys, I can go deeper into this topic, but I don't want to make this video too long. So if you want me to talk more about self-awareness, go ahead and leave me a comment down below. I will be making other videos based on my self-love and care skills that changed my life video. Self-awareness is one of them. I just made another video on affirmations last week, so go ahead and check that video out. If you have any specific suggestions for a video that you'd like to hear about, leave me a comment down below. Again, if you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe. I really thank you so much for watching till the end, and I will see you guys in the next video.